I never thought applying for an internship at Voss Dynamics would drag me into someone else's buried heartbreak. Hell, I was just a broke journalism major at the University of Washington, scraping by on ramen and late-night shifts at a dingy coffee shop in Capitol Hill. Seattle's perpetual drizzle mirrored my mood, gray, relentless, soaking through the cracks of my optimism. But that email changed everything. "Congratulations, Mr. Harlan. Tyler Voss personally selected your application." Attached was a contract that promised not just a stipend that could cover my rent, but a byline on real stories, the kind that could launch a career. I showed up for the interview in my one decent blazer, the one I'd bought on sale at Macy's during a Black Friday frenzy 2 years back. The Voss Tower loomed over Elliott Bay like a monolith of glass and steel, a testament to Tyler's rise from a scrappy startup kid to tech mogul. Whispers in the alumni network called him a visionary, a guy who'd turned AI-driven logistics into a billion-dollar empire. But there were shadows too. Rumors of a reclusive personal life, no wife, no kids, just endless board meetings and charity galas where he'd flash that megawatt smile before vanishing into the night. The lobby was a cathedral of marble and chrome, security scanning me like I was smuggling state secrets. Up on the 47th floor, his assistant, a crisp woman named Elena with a bob that could slice paper, ushered me into the corner office. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the Puget Sound, fairies cutting white wakes through the mist. And then the doors opened. Tyler Voss was taller than his photos suggested, broad-shouldered in a navy suit that hugged him like it was tailored by angels. His hair was dark with silver threads at the temples, and those eyes, piercing, like they could debug your soul. He extended a hand, firm grip, but his gaze lingered a beat too long, tracing my face with an intensity that made my pulse stutter. "Jace," he repeated as if tasting the name. "Sit. Tell me why a kid with your clips is wasting time on internships when you could be out there breaking stories." I launched into my passionate ramble about investigative pieces on urban decay in the Rainier Valley, my thesis on digital ethics in the age of deepfakes. He nodded, leaning back in his leather chair, fingers steepled. But midway through, he interrupted. "You remind me of someone," he said softly, almost to himself. "Same fire, same recklessness." I laughed it off, chalking it up to flattery, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. By the end, he offered me the gig on the spot. Shadow him for 3 months, draft reports on corporate transparency, maybe even co-author a white paper. "Start Monday," he said. "And Jace, keep that blazer. It suits you." As I rode the elevator down, euphoria buzzing in my veins, I pulled out my phone to text my roommate, Alex. But my thumb hovered, because Tyler's words echoed. "You look exactly like him." Who the hell was him? Monday hit like a caffeine crash. Elena handed me a badge and a stack of NDAs thicker than my ethics textbook. My desk was a glass perch overlooking the bullpen, close enough to the executive suite to smell Tyler's cologne. Sandalwood and sea salt, wafting through the vents. First task: audit old press clippings for a philanthropy push. Tyler wanted to spotlight his alma mater, UW, with a scholarship fund in his name. Digging through the archives felt like archaeology in a Fortune 500 tomb. Grainy photos of a younger Tyler, early 2000s, grinning at frat parties, arms slung around a lanky guy with my same messy brown hair and hazel eyes. The caption: "Voss and Harlan dominate the hackathon." Harlan, my last name. Coincidence? I Googled it. Turns out my dad had a cousin who'd gone to UW back then, some distant relative who'd dropped out after sophomore year. But the guy in the photo, not family, just a doppelganger named Ethan Harlan. No relation, but the resemblance was eerie. That afternoon, Tyler buzzed me in for a briefing. He was at the window, hands in pockets, back to me as rain sheeted the glass. "Find anything interesting?" he asked without turning. "Yeah, you were quite the campus heartthrob." I tried for levity, sliding the photo across his desk. He stiffened, then pivoted slowly, picking it up like it was fragile glass. His thumb brushed the edge, right over Ethan's face. Over my face, frozen in time. "Ethan," he murmured. "Best friend I ever had. Worst mistake I ever made." The room thickened with unspoken weight, the kind that presses on your chest until you can't breathe. He set the photo down, met my eyes. You're not him, Jace. But damn if it doesn't feel like a second chance. I swallowed hard, the air electric. What happened to him? Tyler's jaw tightened, a muscle ticking. That's a story for another day. Right now, we work. But as he launched into logistics algorithms, his voice cracked once, just a hair, and I wondered what ghosts we'd both invited into this tower. The weeks blurred into a rhythm of deadlines and stolen glances. Tyler was a machine, brilliant, demanding, with a dry wit that snuck up on you like Seattle fog. We'd grab lunch in the executive cafeteria, him dissecting my takes on media bias while I probed his reticence. He deflected masterfully, steering to safer waters. His love for classic rock, the way the Space Needle looked like a hypodermic at midnight. But Ethan lingered, a shadow in every photo op, every alumni event we prepped. One night, after a brutal 14-hour day polishing a TEDx script, the building emptied. I was packing up when Tyler appeared, tie loosened, sleeves rolled to reveal forearms corded with quiet strength. Join me for a drink? Non-alcoolique. Elena's got a killer mocktail recipe. We ended up on the rooftop terrace, city sprawl glittering below like a circuit board come alive. The mocktails, ginger beer with lime and a twist of regret, burned going down. He leaned on the railing, wind tousling his hair. You ever feel like you're running from your own life, Jace? All the time, I admitted, the vulnerability spilling out unbidden. Dad split when I was 10, Mom works doubles at the hospital. I'm just trying not to repeat their script. He nodded, eyes distant. I get that, Ethan. He was my script. We grew up in the same suburb outside Tacoma, trailer parks and hand-me-down dreams. He pulled me out of my shell, showed me I could code more than just video games. We were inseparable. Until college. The confession hung there, raw. I wanted to push, but his gaze met mine, heavy with something unspoken. Longing, maybe, or fear. What broke it? Everything, he whispered. And nothing. Then, abruptly, he straightened. Come on. I'll drive you home. The elevator ride down was silent, charged, my skin humming where our shoulders brushed. That was the night the internship stopped being about resumes. It became about us. Two strangers orbiting a shared phantom, Seattle's lights winking like they knew our secrets. As October deepened, the scholarship launch loomed. Tyler threw himself into it, personally vetting recipients. I tagged along to campus events, watching him charm deans while his eyes sought mine in the crowd. One evening, at a mixer in the Husky Union building, he pulled me aside into a quiet alcove lined with faded banners. You're good at this, Jace. Unearthing truths. His breath was warm against my ear, proximity sending sparks down my spine. I was out, had been since high school, a few awkward dates under my belt. But this felt different, deeper, dangerous. So are you, at burying them. I shot back, heart pounding. He laughed, low and genuine, hand lingering on my arm. Touché. Dinner after this? Real food. My treat. We ended up at a hole-in-the-wall faux joint in the International District, steam rising from bowls like confessions. Over spicy broth, he opened up in fragments. The pressure of being the golden boy, the fear of small-town judgment. Ethan was the brave one. He knew who he was. I wasn't ready. The words landed like stones in still water. Gay. It was there. Subtext made text, and my chest tightened with recognition. I'd clocked it early, the way his eyes traced my jawline, the pauses heavy with what-ifs. But hearing it shifted the ground beneath us. And now? I asked, voice barely above the clatter of chopsticks. Now? He set his bowl down, gaze steady. Now, I'm tired of running. The rain started as we stepped out, a sudden downpour that soaked us to the skin. He hailed a cab, but instead of parting, he slid in beside me, thigh pressing mine. The drive to my apartment was a blur of neon and unspoken promises. At my door, dripping and breathless, he cupped my face, gentle, tentative. Jace, I kissed him, Or he kissed me. It didn't matter. It was salt and rain and years of his regrets pouring out, my hands fisting his shirt as the world narrowed to that threshold. When we broke apart, gasping, his forehead rested against mine. "This is insane," he murmured. "Yeah," I breathed. "But don't stop." That night marked the turning point. What started as stolen moments, coffee runs turning into lingering touches, late nights in his office where reports dissolved into shared silences, blossomed into something real. Tyler was a storm. Intense, all-consuming, but tender in ways that undid me. He'd trace the freckles on my knuckles during calls, whisper stories of his first crushes over takeout from Pike Place. I fell hard, mapping his scars, the divorce from a sham marriage to appease investors, the isolation of the closet. But shadows crept in. Board meetings grew tense. Whispers of a hostile takeover from a rival firm, Helix Corp., led by a shark named Marcus Hale. Tyler brushed it off, but I saw the strain, the way he'd pace at 2 a.m., phone glued to his ear. "It's business," he'd say, but his eyes betrayed him. One crisp November morning, as frost etched the windows, Elena dropped a file on my desk. Due diligence on Helix. Buried in the appendices was a name, Ethan Harlan. Not dead, but vanished after a messy lawsuit against Voss Dynamics. Accusations of intellectual property theft, a partnership soured into betrayal. Tyler's first big break, allegedly built on Ethan's code. The pieces clicked. The hiring, the resemblance. Was I a pawn? A salve for guilt? Confrontation brewed. That evening, in his office with the city aglow, I laid it out. "Ethan sued you, said you stole his work. Is that why I'm here? Some cosmic apology?" Tyler's face drained of color.
Jase, no.
"It's not." He raked a hand through his hair. "Ethan and I, we were more than friends. Lovers in secret. When the company took off, the pressure, panicked, pushed him away. He lashed out with the suit. It destroyed him. He dropped out, moved east. Haven't heard from him since. The betrayal stung, not his, but the half-truths. And me? Am I just Ethan 2.0? He crossed the room in 2 strides, gripping my shoulders. "You're you, the first person in years who's made me feel alive. Please believe that." I wanted to. God, I did. But doubt festered, a crack in our foundation. As Helix's moves escalated, poaching execs, leaking smears, the stakes rose. Tyler confided in me now. Late-night strategy sessions where strategy blurred into solace. His head in my lap as I stroked his hair. "I can't lose this," he'd murmur. "Not again." Little did I know, the real loss was barreling toward us. December rolled in like a freight train, blanketing Seattle in a rare snow that muffled the city's pulse, but amplified the chaos inside Voss Dynamics. Tyler's days stretched into marathons of crisis management, his nights claimed by me. Tangled sheets in his waterfront condo overlooking the Olympics, where we'd talk until dawn about everything and nothing. He'd cook, surprisingly domestic, whipping up eggs Benedict with a precision that mirrored his code, and I'd tease him about the billionaire slumming it in an apron. Those moments were oxygen, pure and heady, making me forget the storm clouds gathering. But Helix wasn't playing fair. Marcus Hale, a Silicon Valley transplant with a predatory grin and a history of corporate raids, escalated. Anonymous tips to the press painted Tyler as a cutthroat innovator who'd crushed underdogs like Ethan. My own digging, late nights cross-referencing SEC filings, uncovered emails hinting at sabotage. A mole in our ranks feeding intel to Helix. Paranoia seeped in. Tyler grew distant, snapping at Elena, canceling our escapes. One blizzard-lashed evening, after a board call where investors wavered, he shattered. I found him in the server room, a cavern of humming racks and blue LEDs, slumped against a console. "It's falling apart," he said, voice hollow. "All of it." I knelt beside him, pulling him close. His body shook. Not sobs, but silent tremors of a man who'd armored himself too long. "Hey," I whispered, lips brushing his temple. "You're not alone. Not this time." He looked up, eyes red-rimmed, and the vulnerability there gutted me. I was cruel to him, Jace, to Ethan. When he confessed, really confessed after a party where we danced too close, he laid it all out. I froze. Said it was the booze talking. Next day, I buried us in work. Then the lawsuit hit like karma. I settled quietly, but it cost him everything. His trust. His future. The pieces of his regret clicked into a mosaic. Love denied, ambition weaponized. You were scared, I said softly. But that doesn't make you irredeemable. He cupped my face, thumb tracing my lip. You make me want to try. The kiss that followed was slow, deliberate. A promise forged in the glow of data streams. We made love there, on the cool tile amid the whir of machines. Urgent yet reverent, bodies mapping forgiveness. But dawn brought reality. The next week, a bombshell. Helix announced a bid for Voss, aggressive and public. Tyler rallied, calling in all hands where his charisma reignited the troops. I stood off stage, heart swelling as he invoked shared dreams, his glance finding mine like an anchor. We're not just building software, he boomed. We're building legacies. After, in the green room, adrenaline high, he swept me into an embrace. Couldn't have done that without you, he murmured. But his phone buzzed, Elena, urgent. A leak. Proprietary code stolen. Traced to an internal IP address. Mine. Suspicion hit like ice water. I'd been vetting files, accessing restricted drives for the scholarship audit. Coincidence? Or setup? Tyler's face, when he confronted me privately, was a war zone, trust fracturing. Jace, tell me it's not you. It's not. Panic clawed my throat. Someone's framing me. Think. I've got no motive. He paced, conflict etching lines deeper. I want to believe you.
God, Ido.
But Helix, they'd use anything. The betrayal cut deepest because it echoed his past. Doubt poisoning love. I stormed out, snow whipping my face as I trudged to the ferry terminal. My phone lit with texts. Alex urging me home. Tyler's a single word. Wait. I didn't. Days blurred in isolation. I holed up in my cramped apartment, scrolling Ethan's sparse online trail. A defunct blog post from 2012. Betrayed by the one I trusted most. Some codes break you. It mirrored my ache. This echo of abandonment. When Tyler showed up on my doorstep, snow-dusted and desperate, I nearly slammed the door. Jace, please. He held a flash drive, trembling. Forensics cleared you. It was Marcus's plant. A junior dev bought off. I'm sorry. I should have known. I let him in, the air thick with hurt. We talked for hours, raw and unfiltered. My fear of being a rebound, his terror of history repeating. You're not Ethan, he said finally, taking my hand. You're the one who stayed, who saw me. Reconciliation was tentative. Walks along Alki Beach, bundled against the wind, where he'd share boyhood tales of skipping stones and stolen glances. Romance rekindled in small fires. Notes slipped into my laptop bag. A playlist of Springsteen ballads synced to his car stereo. But the takeover loomed, a sword of Damocles. Christmas Eve, Tyler whisked me to his family's old cabin on Whidbey Island. A weathered A-frame with a stone fireplace and views of the strait. No staff, no agendas. Just us. A tree strung with mismatched ornaments, and a feast of clam chowder from a local spot. As embers crackled, he pulled a box from his pocket. Not a ring, but a vintage watch, engraved with coordinates to our rooftop. Time I stopped looking back, he said. I fastened it on, pulse racing. To us, then. The new year dawned with Helix's ultimatum. Merge or be crushed. Tyler refused, countering with a defensive alliance. Partners from Stanford, old allies. I contributed anonymously, my journalism nose sniffing out Hale's weak spots. A pattern of bullied startups. Whispers of harassment suits buried in NDAs. Tyler integrated it into his pitch, a takedown veiled as ethics. But betrayal struck closer. Mid-January, Elena confessed over coffee, nerves frayed, that she'd been approached by Helix. Not to spy, but to jump ship with promises of equity. I turned them down, she said, eyes earnest. But Tyler, he's pushing too hard. You're good for him, Jace. Keep him grounded. Her words lingered as I watched him burn brighter, thinner. Sleepless nights left him hollow-eyed, our intimacies laced with urgency. If we lose this, he'd whisper in the dark, I lose everything, including you. You won't lose me, I'd vow, holding him tighter. But doubt gnawed. Was our love collateral in his war? The climax brewed in a boardroom showdown. Helix's team descended on Voss Tower, a parade of suits and smugness. Tyler, impeccable in charcoal, led the defense, data visualizations I'd helped craft, exposing Hale's predatory playbook. Marcus sneered across the table, all polished venom. Voss, you're a relic. Adapt or die. Tyler's response was steel. Or expose the wolves in sheep's clothing. He dropped my dossier, sanitized, lethal, detailing Helix's skeletons. Gasps rippled. Hale's face mottled. By adjournment, the bid faltered. Investors fleeing like rats from a sinking ship. Elation hit the lobby like champagne. Tyler scooped me into a bear hug, oblivious to stares, whispering, we did it. But as confetti, metaphorical at least, settled, his phone rang. Unknown number. He stepped away, voice dropping. When he returned, joy cracked. Ethan. He's in town. Wants to meet. The ghost had returned. Ethan's arrival was a seismic fault line. Cracking open fissures I'd pretended weren't there. Tyler broke the news that night over takeout sushi in his condo. The Space Needle piercing the skyline like a needle threading our fragile peace. He called from a Seattle number. Says he's clean, sober, stable. Running a small consultancy in Boston. Wants closure. I nodded, chopsticks hovering, stomach knotted. And you? His eyes searched mine, shadowed. I owe him, us a real goodbye, but you come too if you want. Or not. Your call. Jealousy wasn't the word. It was terror, a visceral fear that history's rerun would erase me. Ethan wasn't just an ex. He was the origin story. The love Tyler had mourned in silences and shuttered photos. Still, I agreed. I'll go. For you. The meet was set for neutral ground. A quiet cafe in Fremont. The kind with exposed brick and mismatched mugs. Fairy lights strung like hesitant stars. Snow flurries danced outside as we arrived early. Tyler's knee bouncing under the table. When the bell tinkled and Ethan walked in, time stuttered. He was me but weathered. A decade's erosion in the lines around his eyes, hair cropped short, a salt and pepper scruff that aged him gracefully. Same build, same tilt to the smile. He spotted us, froze, then approached with measured steps. Tyler, Jace. His voice was gravel and grace, extending a hand to me first. Heard a lot. All good, I hope. We ordered black coffee for him, lattes for us, and the air thickened with politeness. Small talk skirted the edges. Ethan's life post-suit. A quiet rebuild after addiction's grip. Tyler's empire glossed over the scars. But undercurrents pulled. Glances lingered. Tyler's on Ethan's hands, tracing faded tattoos. Ethan's on Tyler's face, cataloging changes. Finally, Ethan leaned forward. I didn't come to rehash the war, Ty. That suit? Desperation. I was hurt, lashing out. You built something real from our scraps.
I'm proud.
Tyler's throat worked. I should have fought for you. Instead, I ran. Ethan's gaze flicked to me, soft. Looks like you found your way back. To me, take care of him, Jace. He's worth the mess. The relief was palpable, a valve releasing. We parted with handshakes and numbers exchanged. Tentative bridges. On the drive home, Tyler exhaled like a man surfacing. That was healing. Thank you. I squeezed his hand, but the encounter lodged like a splinter. Dreams that night were feverish. Tyler choosing Ethan, me fading into echo. Morning brought resolve. I poured it into work, drafting a feature on corporate redemption for the company blog, weaving Tyler's arc without naming names. February thawed the city, cherry blossoms budding premature along the waterfront. Our rhythm steadied, brunches at Elliot's Oyster House, where Tyler'd steal my fries and steal kisses under the table. Hikes in Discovery Park, Hands linked as we crested bluffs, the sound of vast blue promise. Love deepened, roots burrowing past doubt. He met Alex over beers at my place, charming my skeptical roommate with tales of botched coding pranks. Jace keeps me honest, Tyler said, arm around my shoulders. Alex grinned. Damn right. But Helix's defeat bred vipers. Marcus Hale, cornered, went nuclear, leaking Dr. Doc's alleging Voss's code was pilfered, not just from Ethan but from open-source hackers. The press frenzy hit like a squall. Headlines screaming, Tech Titans theft empire? Tyler's stock dipped, partners hedged. In the eye, Tyler unraveled. Board pressure mounted. He retreated into the office, a ghost haunting his domain. Our nights turned clinical, takeout in silence, touches perfunctory. It's temporary, he'd assure, but his eyes lied. I pushed back during a rare dinner at Canlis, the city's crown jewel with views that stole breath. Over seared scallops, I set down my fork. Talk to me. Not the CEO, the man. He deflated, confession spilling. Hale's bluffing, but it's stirring old mud. Investors want a scapegoat. Ethan's name's dragged back in, and I feel it all again. The guilt. Then fight dirty, I urged. Hit back with truth. Let me help. I've got contacts at the Stranger, off-record dirt on Hale. He searched my face, then nodded. Partner in crime? Always. The counteroffensive launched. My anonymous tip to indie journalists, exposing Hale's history of IP grabs via shell companies. Tyler testified in a closed SEC hearing, transparent as glass. The tide turned. Stocks rebounded. Hale's empire wobbling. Victory tasted bittersweet. One stormy night, as thunder rolled off the bay, Tyler proposed a getaway. A weekend in the San Juans, ferrying to Orcas Island for kayaking and stargazing. We rented a cabin perched on a cliff, waves crashing below like applause. Evenings by the fire, he'd read poetry, Walt Whitman, verses of comradeship that mirrored us. Calamus, he'd murmur, lips on my neck. Leaves of grass for lovers. There, unmoored from the city, we bared souls. He spoke of his coming out, post-scandal, to a therapist who'd called it delayed adolescence. I shared my own ghosts. First love lost to college drift. The ache of invisibility in a conservative high school. You make me visible, I told him, fingers laced. And you make me brave, he replied. The weekend sealed us. A covenant whispered in salt air. Back in Seattle, equilibrium held, until the betrayal detonated. It came via Elena, tear-streaked in my cubicle. Jace, I didn't mean for it to go this far. She'd caved to Helix after all. Not full sabotage, but selective leaks to protect her future. The mole. Her regret poured out. Loyalty torn, Hale's coercion via fabricated threats. Horror hollowed me. Tyler trusts you. We all did. She sobbed. Tell him. Make it right. Couldn't. Not yet. Instead, I confronted her boss alone, in the dim conference room where deals died. Tyler arrived midstream, drawn by raised voices. What's this? Words tumbled. Elena's duplicity. The fractures it wrought. His face cycled. Shock. Fury. Grief. You knew? And hid it. To protect you. Pleaded. Like you protected me from doubt. But trust, once cracked, spiderwebbed. This isn't protection, Jace. It's control. He stormed out, leaving me in echoes. The fallout was cataclysmic. Elena resigned that night, a terse email citing personal reasons. Tyler shuddered, canceling meetings, his office a fortress. I banged on his door daily, met with silence. Desperation peaked mid-March as spring teased but didn't deliver. I drove to Tacoma, his childhood turf, trailer park turned gentrified strip malls, and sat on a bench where he'd once confided Ethan kissed him under sodium lights. A text came as dusk fell. Roof. Now, the rooftop was a gale, city lights fracturing through squall lines. Tyler waited, soaked, a bottle of scotch dangling from numb fingers. I fired her. Clean break. His voice cracked. But you. Why the secret? Because I was scared. I yelled over wind. Scared you'd see me as the kid playing hero, not partner. He closed the distance, anguish raw. I see you, Jace. Always have. But this job, it's poison. Twisting us. Tears mixed with rain. Then quit the poison. Choose us. He pulled me close, storm raging. I want to. God, I do. The kiss was desperate. A lifeline in chaos. Salty, fierce, tasting of futures uncertain. But dawn brought no epiphany. Helix limped away, tail between legs, but victory rang hollow. Tyler withdrew deeper, therapy sessions stacking like barriers. I clung, but love frayed. Arguments over nothing, silences that screamed. April bloomed cruel, dogwoods mocking our wilt. Ethan texted me. Unbidden lifeline, heard the mess. Talk to him about forgiveness. It's not too late. I did, over a forced picnic in Gasworks Park. Rusting tanks hulking like relics.
Isang size, ibang turat.
Tyler stiffened. What else? That you're worth saving. From yourself. He set down the sandwich, eyes glistening. Maybe I am. With you. Renewal flickered, therapy joint sessions, where a soft-spoken doc unpacked Tyler's armor. We rebuilt brick by tentative brick. Date nights at the symphony, hands clasped during Mahler's swells. Volunteering at the scholarship recipients' mentorships, Tyler glowing as kids echoed his younger fire. Yet undercurrents stirred. One humid evening, as we prepped for a gala, black tie, Voss's redemption arc, Tyler's phone buzzed. Ethan again, in town for a conference. Coffee? Solo. The ask hung, innocent on surface, seismic below. Tyler showed me trust's fragile thread. Your call. Jealousy spiked, but growth tempered it. Go. Close the circle. I'll be here. He did, returning with quiet absolution. It's over. Really over. He wished us well. In my arms that night, he whispered, You're my now. My always. Summer simmered, our bond tempered in fire. Road trip down the Oregon coast, windows down, Bruce crooning as waves crashed. But autumn loomed, and with it, the ghost's final stand. Fall foliage painted the Cascades in fire as September waned. But Voss dynamics smoldered with fresh embers. A whistleblower, anonymous, vengeful, dropped a dossier to Reuters. Emails from Tyler's early days, twisted to imply collusion with Ethan on the suit, a cover-up of stolen innovations. It was Hale's parting shot, a scorched earth bid to tarnish legacy. The news broke mid-commute, my phone exploding with alerts. By the time I reached the tower, chaos reigned. Reporters swarming the plaza, Elena's replacement fielding calls like grenades. Tyler was in war mode, lawyered up, but his eyes when he saw me, haunted, pleading. Damage control, he said, thrusting a tablet my way. Draft a response. Make it human. I did, holing up in a vacant office, words flowing like blood from a wound. Acknowledgement of past mistakes, emphasis on growth, a nod to second chances without naming loves lost or found. He read it aloud, voice steadying. Publish it. Now. The piece went viral, praised for candor, dissected for subtext. Interviews followed. Tyler on NPR, voice raw as he owned the fractures. Regret isn't a footnote, he said. It's the ink we rewrite with. I watched from the green room, pride swelling fierce. But the toll mounted. Sleepless, he leaned on me harder. Nights where I'd wake to him staring at the ceiling, murmuring, What if it's not enough? I'd pull him close, heartbeat to heartbeat, whispering mantras of worth. Romance persisted in pockets. Stolen weekends in Napa, vineyard rose golden under California sun, where we'd taste cabernets and dreams, his laughter bubbling free. Yet betrayal's echo lingered. During a lull, I uncovered the whistleblower. A disgruntled mid-level coder, poached by Helix, nursing grudges from a passed-over promotion. Tyler wanted to sue. I counseled grace. Let it go. Rise above. He relented, offering the guy severance and a reference instead. Your humanism, he teased later, over dim sum in Chinatown. It's contagious. October's chill deepened resolve. The scholarship gala loomed, Black tie affair at the Museum of Flight, honoring 50 recipients. Tyler asked me to co-host Public and Proud. If you're ready, he added, thumb brushing my cufflink. Heart hammering, I agreed. The night glittered. Tuxes and gowns, F-18s suspended overhead like guardians. Tyler's speech wove vulnerability into victory. Thanks to mentors, a nod to Ethan, unspoken. To partners, me, beaming beside him. As applause thundered, his hand found mine under the podium. Squeeze electric. After, on the tarmac under stars, he pulled a velvet box. Not a proposal. Not yet. But a promise. Inside, 2 silver bands. Simple. Etched with binary for home. Wear it when you want. With me. Tears pricked. I slipped mine on. Always. November brought Thanksgiving first shared. He hosted at the condo, inviting Alex and a few recipients. Turkey carved with precision. Pies from a Ballard bakery. Stories flowing like gravy. Tyler, tipsy on Pinot, recounted a disastrous college feast. Ethan burned the bird. We laughed till dawn. The mention didn't sting. It healed, a scar fading. But December's shadow fell swift. Tyler's annual physical unearthed a murmur, nothing dire, but tests ordered. Stress, the doc said. Slow down, or it slows you. He laughed it off, but I saw the flicker. Mortality's whisper, regrets sharpening. We countered with intention. Sabbatical planned for spring, a Sabbath from the grind. You, me, and the open road, he vowed. Route 66, kitsch and all. Christmas mirrored last year's magic amplified. Whidbey again, but with snowshoeing and a sleigh ride. Cheesy, perfect. Under the tree, my gift. A leather-bound journal. Blank pages for his unwritten chapters. His to me, tickets to New York, a Broadway show, Angels in America, raw queer odyssey. Our story, he said. In lights. The turn of the year was revelry. New Year's Eve atop the Columbia Center, countdown with champagne and confessions. To healing, he toasted. Yours and mine. But fate, capricious, twisted the knife. January's thaw revealed cracks. Tyler's fatigue deepening. Tests escalating to echoes on his lungs. Benign, they swore, but shadows lurked. Just echoes, he joked weakly, but worry etched us. Work intruded. A merger offer from a white knight firm, ethical and steady. Tyler wavered, legacy versus life. I advocated rest. Build from peace, not pursuit. He chose us, signing papers that ceded control but freed his soul. The board balked, but his charisma swayed. Voss isn't me, it's what we make it. February's Valentine's was intimate. Cruise on the Sound, hearts afloat. He proposed there on deck under Aurora whispers, not grand, but gravity. Knee bent, ring simple platinum. Jace Harlan, be my regret's end. Marry me. Yes. I choked, salt wind carrying joy. Spring burgeoned with plans. Wedding small, summer solstice. Beachside in Cannon Beach. But April's bloom hid thorns. Tyler collapsed during a run in Green Lake. Dehydration, they said, but scans lied. Lymphoma, stage 2. Curable, aggressive treatment. The diagnosis landed like shrapnel. Hospital sterile, his hand in mine. We'll fight. Together. I nodded, stealing. Always. Treatment commenced. Chemo cycles that hollowed him, my vigil constant. Soups pureed, stories read aloud. Love letters scrawled on napkins. He fought with ferocity, humor his shield. Bald looks good on me, like a tech monk. Betrayal's final form wasn't external. It was self, the doubt creeping. What if I don't make it? You deserve. Stop, eyed fierce. You're my deserve. Ethan visited once, unannounced, bridge extended. Awkward at first, bedside banter easing into grace. You were the one, Ty, he said softly. But Jace? He's the forever. Tyler wept then, release profound. Summer teased, treatment waning. Scans cleared. Remission whispered. We wed on schedule. Haystack rocks as altar, waves chanting vows. Alex best man, Elena matron. forgiven, family. Rings exchanged, Tyler's voice steady. In sickness, in health, in code and chaos. Honeymoon in the San Juans, kayaks slicing fjords, nights in each other's arms. Victory tangible. Yet the story's arc bent toward depth, not saccharine end. Fall returned, leaves a carpet of earned peace. Tyler stepped back from Voss, consulting remotely, time hours to harvest. We bought a craftsman in Wallingford. Cozy, with a garden for his improbable tomatoes and my reckless herbs. Mornings. Coffee on the porch, Seattle waking slow. Evenings. Record spinning, Coltrane's sax weaving our silences. Remission held, but vigilance shadowed, checkups like sentinels. Tyler channeled energy into the foundation, expanding scholarships to include queer youth mentorships. His story anonymized but potent. Healing's communal, he'd say, hand on mind during donor calls. I freelanced, bylines stacking. A series on tech's human cost, Tyler's quiet muse. Our love matured. Less firestorm, more hearth. Arguments over grocery lists dissolving into laughter. Travels to Taos for Adobe sunsets, where he'd sketch code on napkins, me jotting headlines. But regrets like roots resurfaced. One crisp October Eve post-gala where he'd keynote on vulnerability in boardrooms, Tyler grew pensive. Over whiskey by the fire, his first sip in months, he pulled the old photo. Him and Ethan, young and unbroken. Miss him sometimes, he admitted. Not the what if, the innocence. I nodded, no jealousy left, just understanding. Call him. Circles close. He did. Speakerphone bridging coasts. Laughter flowed. Reminiscences light, laced with grace. You two sound solid, Ethan said. Proud to have been the prelude. Holidays cycled. Thanksgiving with strays. Recipients turned friends. Christmas in New York. Rent on Broadway. Tears for lives unlived but honored. New Year's. We volunteered at a shelter, serving stew to echoes of our pasts. Winter's grip loosened into a mild spring, but Tyler's cough returned, subtle, insistent. Allergies, he dismissed, but tests confirmed. Recurrence, stealthier. Devastation crashed, but we'd armored. Round 2, he quipped in the oncologist's glow. Bring it. Treatment intensified, trials, infusions that drained him spectral. I became Atlas, work sidelined, days orbiting for poles. Nights, when pain clawed, he'd grip my hand. Worth every ache. For this. Betrayal's ghost? His body's, perhaps, the unfairness of fragility. But we raged gentle. Road trips paused for ports, chemo in coastal motels. Playlists of our anthems, Springsteen belting survival. Ethan flew west once, trio reconvening in our garden. Beers and banter, stories looping to wisdom. Life's not linear, he toasted. It's this messy mended. As summer scorched, prognosis darkened, stage 4, options thinning. Tyler planned meticulously. Foundation handover, while stipulating trusts for our found family. To me, live loud, Jace. Write our messy epic. Wouldn't accept finality. Experimental protocols, second opinions, prayers whispered to Puget's gray gods. He endured, spirit unbowed. If I go, it's not goodbye, it's see you in the code. Autumn waned. Leaves fell like farewells. One golden afternoon in Discovery Park. Wheelchair-bound but defiant, we crested the bluff. Wind off the sound carried his words. Best plot twist, you. I held him, tears salting the view. The hero. November's chill deepened. Thanksgiving was quiet. Alex, Elena, broth and gratitude. He slipped that night, peaceful in our bed. My arms his harbor. Last breath. Love. Heals. Grief hollowed. A chasm wind whistled. Funeral by the bay, small, fierce. Eulogies from Ethan, he loved completely. Alex, kept it real. Me, Tyler's regrets? He turned them to light, ours now to carry. Months blurred. Foundation thrived, scholarships blooming in his name. I wrote, the book, raw memoir of us. Internships to eternities, Healing's Hard Grace. Titled Debugged Hearts, it charted charts, whispers of film rights. 1 year on, rooftop where it sparked. Rain slicked, me with his watch ticking steady. Ethan joined, Polaroid in hand. He'd approve. I smiled, ghost gentle. He does. Life resumed, dates tentative, journalism surging. Love's embers kindling new. Tyler's legacy? Not empire, but echoes. A world softer for queers like us. Regrets redeemed in ripples. In Seattle's eternal drizzle, I walk taller, scarred, but whole. Healing wasn't erasing pain. It was weaving it into story, ours unbroken.